Good morning. Today is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It is Tuesday, June 17th, and it's 8:30 a.m. In front of you, you have this morning's agenda. Do you have any additions or corrections?
No, not at this time.
No? Okay. All right. Then if I could get a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Again, we have the minutes from our regularly held meeting on June 3rd. Any additions or corrections to those?
Nope.
Okay, if I could get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address: bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. Do I have anyone wishing to make public comment? Seeing none. If we can move on to the New Canaan Fire Department's blanket purchase orders.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Albert.
The fire department would like to request some FY26 purchase orders. The first one is for a PO for Northeastern Fire Apparatus for the amount of 25, not to exceed 25,000 for apparatus service and repair. I don't know if you want to do each one or.
Yeah.
Request FY26 blanket PO for Gowan's Night for the not to exceed 35,000 for the apparatus service and repair. And last one would be blanket PO for On Scene Limited Liability Company for the amount of 35,000, not to exceed 35,000 for the apparatus service and repair. New vendor that we're working with this year.
Do these three vendors do the same thing and we just divide them up between them, or do they have specialties?
They do the same thing. We basically divide them up based on where we bought the apparatus from and who they service. The third one is a company that's going to come to us. So it's going to limit our out of service, hopefully limit our out of service time that the apparatus isn't out of town. So for regular services, they won't be able to do a lot of the big repairs on site here. They would have, we would have to go to the other two vendors.
So when you say like what kind of smaller things?
Well, they could do the like regular services, like an oil change, radiator service,
Okay.
brakes,
Yep.
those types of things on site. At highway, they're going to do it.
Oh, great. Okay.
It's a great idea. I mean, they have like a mobile truck that they come with.
What's that?
Mobile truck and tech and.
Mobile truck tech. They're gonna, plan for 2 days to be here, stay overnight, and hopefully, things will go smoother.
It's great.
So my only question is, I didn't check beforehand. How does it's about $85,000 total between the three. How does that compare to last year's budget for?
That's currently under what I'm spending this year, unfortunately.
Oh, it is. So
yeah.
why did you choose not? What
Why did we choose
to lower the?
just the initial? I don't know where if any repairs come in, then we'll increase them. That's kind of the.
Okay, so Anne, can we talk about this?
Is this below what you have budgeted?
This is below what we have budgeted.
Yeah, so, okay.
So it's basically not knowing what repairs are going to go, because at this level above it would be quotes for different repairs going out. And then after that would have been a bid for a vendor. A lot of the times you use certain vendors because of the truck that they're using, and they're very special. They're not a sole source, but they know these trucks better than some of the others and different things that they're doing on the repairs. But we're trying to work out how to bid this type of stuff out, because we don't know when he's going to have an issue. So that's what our problem is right now, in terms of we've got to come in at what you think you're going to need for now. And then if there's any other repairs, that's where we have to come back again.
Okay, so.
And sometimes they won't find the repair until they're doing the service.
Right.
So it's already a part up there. And I don't know if that's going to be Northeastern or this time it'll be Gowan's, depending on what apparatus is where at that point.
So we're trying to figure out, in terms of, as we're going through an internal audit right now, we're trying to figure out what's the best way to handle these, because they're going to be these one-offs.
Yeah.
Because on a technicality, if they go over 50, the work should have been bid out.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out how to make that work while making it work in terms of the apparatus that they have to make sure the right person is working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, you're going to be revisiting sort of the policy around doing this through this audit.
Yes, we're gonna write a new policy based on all these different types of things.
Okay.
To make it simpler and
Okay.
more efficient for both sides, for the board and for the employees. while we
Yep.
have a policy to follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's got to be best practices out there. Obviously, you've got an emergency vehicle that we
Right.
don't want down for too long, and yet you've got to go out for bids, and it's just the
Yeah,
balance
emergencies, and
between what's
that's the problem.
logical.
Most
Right.
of these they don't know until it comes up.
Yep.
So that's where it's very hard. And then you have to fix it right away because then we can't wait.
Right.
So we're looking at all these type of kind of one-offs. There's not a lot of them.
Mhm.
This type is one of them because they don't know the type of repairs
Mhm.
that we have to address. And, purchasing vehicles, we don't bid one vehicle. So we're addressing those type of things
Yep.
to get that policy working.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate the conservative, but we went through a budget process that allowed for repairs at a higher level. I don't know how prudent it is to not be approving a PO to the budget level. And then, if we,
Well, we have there's other, under that maintenance account, there's other things that there's still the stuff that we do at Napa.
Yeah.
There's other smaller ones that come
Okay.
out of that also for repairs.
Okay.
I still got my staff vehicles and everything else that
Okay.
don't go here.
okay, and
But
that's all in the same line.
It's all in the same
Yeah,
line.
Okay.
That's what we're
Yeah,
trying to
so
get them to do the
I see what you're,
surveys, but-
yeah, that's not,
Okay.
yeah, that's, I mean, these.
I love seeing you, but I would love to
I mean, every year it's like the services only cost this much, but then when they find those
Yep.
other
okay.
problems and tires go somewhere else. So that could be another 8,000-9,000 depending on what we're expecting for tires in this next budget year.
I mean, it's tricky and you can see why. it
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
really fall
absolutely.
in.
I
And
just- I'm
this
trying
This
to-
is certainly
yeah.
a more conservative
Yeah.
approach. And then,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, these were all, I mean. We went through as far as hourly rate, for each vendor, what they're doing, what they can do, can't do. One is a much higher hourly rate. However, they do everything. They can do body work. They can do everything at their facility, where the other two vendors would have to send that out. So that it would go to them as a middle person. And that's what we're trying to cut out right now, is we're seeing where we're sending it somewhere and then they're sending it somewhere else. So we're going right to those vendors. Like recently, the springs, we brought it directly to the spring shop and cut out the middleman on that. So one, it helps with downtime and, just a smoother process.
And we talked about as some of the fleet ages, more of this stuff crops up that's unexpected, and you just got to be ready for it. So.
It's like health insurance.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Fire Department for the following apparatus service and repair blanket purchase orders: Northeastern Fire Apparatus for $25,000, Gowans and Knight $35,000, and On Scene LLC for $35,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
You.
Thank you. All right, PD, John.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the first one I have up is request for approval to increase a previous purchase order to Amazon, total of 4,000. This is to close out an FY25 purchases.
What was the original PO for this?
I don't recall the original, but the total amount to the vendor this year was 13,556.
Is that inclusive of this 4,000?
Yes,
Okay, so
that's because we went over the 10,000.
over the 10, that's why the 4.
That's pretty straightforward.
Any questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to increase a previously approved purchase order with Amazon by a total of $4,000.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Okay. Telrepco.
Approve request to renew a contract with Telrepco in the amount of 42,120. This is for the cloud-based software system for the body worn and in-car video cameras. This is an annual contract.
Okay.
Is this a 2025? Oh, this 26?
This
And
is,
so is there, I guess, because we're trying to, Ann, why don't you come up?
So what we're trying to do is, I'll get an email out to Department 4, when the contract is coming out, to ask for the approval of the PO, because you've got to come back now and ask for approval of the PO. Because it's two-step process. It's the approval of the contract to be able to sign it, and then it's an approval to get the PO in place.
Okay,
So
We're having to do this later in the agenda. You're just like getting to.
this way, it's not- then you can do, because you can't do the PO the way with this, just an approval of a contract.
right.
We're going to be letting departments know when you're doing approval for a contract, ask for the PO at the same time, approval of the contract and the PO, and then you're good and you don't have to come back.
Why don't can we just,
Can we add
I'm
that
gonna
to the
add
agenda?
this
Yeah.
to the agenda, because I'm like, don't need two steps. I know, I don't really like the two-step process. It's like, why am I saying? Well, Tiger will get to hear this later, but yeah,
Well,
so.
it's confusing too, because like we go
Yes.
through the budgeting process and we
Yes.
talk at length about all this stuff.
Yes.
Then we see it
Yes.
2 more times.
Yes,
It's like, wait a
yes,
second. didn't
this
we
is
do
silly.
already?
This is silly. We've approved it, and I like seeing you too, John, but I don't really need to see you for the same item 3 times.
Right. I agree.
Okay, so I'm gonna amend this agenda and ask for, if you guys are okay, to renew a contract and enter into a purchase order.
Okay.
Okay,
And I'm guessing, oh, well, you can vote on this one.
yep. Okay,
Yep.
yep, for next gen too. So are you both okay with
Yes.
doing that?
Yes.
Okay, because all right, it just will shorten our agendas
That's fine.
for something we've already approved. Okay, so what does TelRepco do? I'm sorry.
They
Software system.
are software system for the body worn cameras and the in-car
Okay.
video camera system.
And I guess it probably is too difficult, but we're trying to get everybody to get their contracts, July 1 to June 30th or July to July, just
Yeah.
to go with.
No, we are
this
trying to,
is
yeah, we
you're
try to
trying
do
to
that
get
as
them.
much as we
Okay.
can, yeah.
Okay, great.
I tried to do that with Flock too. and
Yep.
Try to sync 'em
Yeah.
up just for the fiscal year.
Yeah,
fiscal
it's
calendar.
helpful
Yeah.
if we can just try and get most of our contracts in the fiscal year.
So with this one, it's from October 25th of
This year.
this year. Okay. All right. Got it.
Yeah, so it's.
So last year's, okay, got it. All right.
Yeah,
got my
that's
year-
why
I
it gets,
got my
I
years
know,
off,
it
I
gets
got my years
confusing,
off,
all
okay.
these different
Perfect.
contracts.
The purchase with them, and that's when the clock starts on their
Yep.
annual
Yep.
agreement. If we purchase it
Yep.
in October,
Yeah.
it doesn't coincide with the calendar.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
It might be a conversation to have is like, can you do a partial contract? And then like at the same time, you can bring it to us with both, but if we could get a stub period and then a
Yes.
fiscal year period, that would be great to start to get us on a cycle.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
If I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to renew a contract and enter into a purchase order with TelRepco in the amount of $42,120.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Okay, and so I guess for the next one,
Next Gen Solutions is similar annual maintenance agreement with Next Gen for $24,447.23. This is our records management system. It's how we do reports and dispatching and all that
okay,
stuff, but same sort of thing. So it's enter into their annual maintenance agreement and I guess
And PO,
and
and
their PO.
approve the
so
PO.
I'll-
Yep.
I'll
mhm.
enter that. So Tucker, we're gonna add that too. Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to renew an annual maintenance agreement and enter into a purchase order with Next Gen Solutions in the amount of $24,447.23.
So moved.
It's unanimous. All right, Galls.
Galls is our uniform vendor, online uniform vendor, one of our uniform vendors. This is a blanket purchase order for FY26 for 15,000.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from New Canaan Police Department for a blanket purchase order with Galls in the amount of $15,000 for this fiscal year 2026.
So moved.
It's unanimous. All right, tactical gear.
Tactical Police Gear is our vendor for ammunition, and this is for a blanket purchase order. The majority of what we purchase from them is ammunition. So a request for a blanket purchase order for 25,000.
Can I ask you real quick, do you know how much we spent last year? I just felt like I was signing a lot of additional POs.
Yes, so
This
we're
year?
trying, this is why we're trying to do
Okay.
a blanket
Okay.
one time for the
For the year.
entire year. So this should be pretty close for
Okay.
our annual purchase if there's no hiccups or curveballs, but this should get us pretty close and-
Okay.
and try not to come back
Okay,
every month.
great. All right, any questions?
No.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department for a purchase order in the amount of $25,000 with tactical police gear.
So moved.
Unanimous. Again,
And this is to close out FY 25.
Okay. oh yeah,
Increase in the purchase for 8,719 and 77 cents for tactical police gear. This is again for FY 25 to finish out ammo purchases.
So how much did you spend in 25?
I don't know for ammo. I have to go back.
So
and
is,
look.
is this getting us up to close to the,
This is getting
25.
By 25,
So
but
it's
the
about-
25,000. I've asked
you
Jennifer.
don't remember what the budget was? Do you remember what the budget was?
It's all weapons and ammo, so it's
Oh,
all.
so it's all
It's not
combined.
just
Okay.
ammunition.
Yep. Okay,
So I'd have to go back and
okay.
look at that.
You know what, Anne, maybe we can just like ask Ryan to kind of do a budget comparison on, well, it's all in one, so we're not gonna be able to see the.
I can
breakdown.
figure it out
Okay,
through our purchase history,
Okay.
what the annual 25,000.
yeah,
should
just to
get
give us an idea of what we're spending, just so we
on
understand.
just ammunition.
Yeah, that's what this question was about, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
guess,
I know.
Yeah, because then
Jennifer-
it helps us with the last agenda item with the 25,000 that we just approved.
So I know Jennifer was cognizant of that and trying to get that
Okay,
initial blanket as
Yep.
close as possible. So I'm
Great.
thinking it was
Perfect.
around 25,000.
okay, great.
and it is, this just underscores, and Steve and I were just chatting about this. There are so many levels to what
Yes.
happens in town government. You know, it's, so there's all these pieces. So to the extent, I mean, you roll them up, but it's so great if people want to look back to see, all right, why do we have to spend this much? Because we had boom, boom, boom. It kind of justifies
Yeah.
the expenditures.
Okay. All right, and travel request.
Did we approve that?
Did we approve that?
We got to approve the tactical.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
jeez, I moved on already. All right, thank you. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department to purchase equipment from the tactical police gear in the amount of $8,719.77.
So moved.
It's unanimous. All right, travel request.
Travel request for August 4 through 6 for Officer Tom Patton to attend a conference in Atlanta, Georgia for our license plate reader vendor. Flock is having a conference, so this will be a good way for him to get some additional training and see what the vendor has to offer for new products.
So this is the vendor for the readers
Yes.
in this. This just seems like it's not a big amount of money, but like, why do you have to go to a conference for a?
They provide training, so
Here.
you work with other agencies and see what their best practices are and what's working for them.
And it's also,
Um,
is there a vendor? I'm sure they're showing you their new bells and
new
whistles. I
stuff,
mean, it's a
yeah.
bit of a marketing thing. I mean. I
So
don't know.
the request is not to exceed 1,200. I'm
Yeah.
going to request from the vendor to compass ticket for the event. I think it was $350 to attend the event, given that we're
Yeah,
a pretty good customer,
client.
good customer there. So I'm going to work on, so the request is not to exceed 1,200.
Yeah.
But,
it-
I think it's
It's
beneficial to
marketing to
attend.
these companies, you know, these big things. And I mean,
it-
not, if this vendor is going to be there, it's not, we're going to see other vendors. It's just going to be this vendor and promoting
It's the
their
vendor that we
wares.
use too, so.
They do, but they usually do like breakout sessions, but to me, anytime you go to one of these, it's talking to others from different parts of the country and you actually can learn things from just running into people.
That's a good way to look at it.
So even if we come away with one or two ideas,
Okay.
it's worth it.
And it is August in
Yeah, I
Atlanta.
was gonna
So
say,
who-
they're
no
not
one's
gonna- they're
rushing
not-
there
it's-
intentionally.
It's
not
not
going.
going
For
up to the
kicks, you
Cape
know.
or someplace nice and, or
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest. It's Atlanta in August. It's like, ugh. Stay in a nice air conditioning hotel for a couple days. All right. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the New Canaan Police Department for travel expenses related to a conference for Officer Thomas Patton on August 4 through 6, 2025, in an estimated amount not to exceed $1,200.
So moved.
It's unanimous. Planning and zoning.
Hey, while we have Chief, how's how the punch list
the
going?
dates?
Everybody
Oh,
moving
yeah.
in all right?
The punch list is getting lower and lower and, but Turner's been great. Scott Tompkins is staying on site and helping us get through the little things. You know, they're doing some waistline work today, so you know there's a lot of activity out front. But overall, it's been fantastic. It's been great. No huge hiccups, and you know everybody seems to be very very happy there, and everything's working out well.
I've seen a couple of the officers on the street and asked them, and they big smiles and they seem very happy. So,
Yeah, it's great. It's been great.
It's great.
Thank you.
Terrific.
All right, thank you. It's been a while, Sarah. Really, thank God.
We love seeing Sarah.
Good morning.
So I am here on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Commission to request that we enter into a contract and maybe also get a PO for to enter into a contract with BFJ Planning to provide consulting services for us as we do a comprehensive update of our zoning regulations. Happy to answer any questions.
I watched the meeting where you were discussing, the special meeting where you're discussing the different vendors. So it looks like they were, you know, very thoroughly vetted.
Yes.
You had a number of applications and, you know, and there was some discussion with the remaining two that were rising to the top. So it seemed like a very efficient and effective process.
Yeah, it was very thorough. We had 7 responses and then we interviewed the top 3 and the commission felt most comfortable with BFJ Planning. So that's who they would like to work with.
They definitely have a very deep bench and their principal is going to be the one overseeing this project, right? So
That's
it's
great.
good.
So, Sarah, what like the deliverables after this process is done? First of all, how long do you think it'll take, and then what will we receive at the end of it? I mean,
Sure. So the goal is 15 months for a process. So kick off hopefully July 1, and then we wouldn't start any sort of meaningful public engagement till after the summer. And then we wouldn't want to adopt the final zoning regulations until like next September, next October. You know, we want everyone back in town so we can have, you know, meaningful public engagement. And then there will be many like different deliverables along the process. Like first step, we're going to get an annotated copy of our zoning regulations and an analysis of how our regulations today line up with the POCD we just adopted. But the final goal is to have a new set of zoning regulations. Whether that means it's just an edited version of what we currently have, or it's a brand new structure. Not sure yet. That's what phase 1 of analyzing the regulations is all about, but that's the main deliverable.
that's great.
So just so people know, in this process, the adoption of the zoning regulation falls where? Just with P and Z?
Just with the Planning and
Okay.
Zoning Commission.
All right, but I do think in this process, and it's gonna be 15 months, kind of like the POCD, but maybe this is really important. Planning and zoning is really important. So I think, you know, hopefully people will stay engaged. I'm not talking about people here, but in the greater community and all the boards. And when they have the public meetings, you know, I think this is more like a call out to the public. You got to pay attention to this. This is important. We haven't done it in 20 years.
Correct.
Yeah, 20 years. So
How many, I did hear a discussion of this group would be doing public hearings as part of, or, you know, public engagement as part of it. How many do you envision having through the process?
So what's in the contract is we'd start with a public information session in September.
Okay.
We'll then have a visual preference survey after that. So a little different than the survey we had for the POCD, but there will be a survey. And then we'll have a workshop probably in the winter of 2026, potentially spring of 2026, depending on when we have our first draft of the regulations. We'll also be doing multiple rounds of stakeholder interviews. So we're probably going to put together a team of stakeholders, probably things like architects, engineers, attorneys that work frequently with the zoning regulations, so we can get feedback from, you know, technical experts. And then from there, if we're getting feedback from the public that they need more engagement, my department and the commission will have to supplement on our own, similar to what we did with the POCD with those community dialogue events. And then we'll just have a final adoption public hearing or multiple adoption public hearings, depending on how it goes.
in their bid had a very detailed timeline, you know, in the proposal that you got, you know, exactly when this is going to happen. But we've seen this before. A group can come in, they can have a very detailed well advertised, and then sometimes people would just pretend they didn't know about it. So I think it's very important that anybody in town government stays involved and that the public stays involved. Because you can't lead a horse to water, right? So.
Yeah, and the POCD proved that New Canaan is really engaged. I mean, the numbers of the POCD produced of participation in the community was unbelievable. I mean, those numbers were crazy. So I don't think there's too many communities that could have had that much input into one item. So hopefully this is a similar situation where we can get a lot of people out, a lot of people involved.
Definitely, and I have to self-promote a little bit. The town did win an award for our public engagement process for the POCD, so everyone should be very pleased about that. And I will say that with this process, it is going to look a little different than the POCD because this is not the same process. This is much more technical. So as residents do get involved, they should expect it to be a little different. It's less about garnering their ideas, but rather getting their feedback on what we're trying to implement. So it will be a little different, but the goal is to still have a lot of engagement with the public.
Yeah, and I think, maybe because September will be upon us soon,
Yep.
quickly, maybe we, for the newsletter, you can maybe get something out in July.
That's the
Because
plan.
August
Yep.
is dead, so.
Greg
nobody
and
will-
I have already been talking.
Perfect. You're always, see, this is why she won the Rising Star Award for the planning group. So,
Yeah, and press releases are helpful too, keeping like the
Yeah.
Canaanite and
Yeah.
others involved, and that's great.
that's great.
It's important.
Okay, so any other questions?
So the only, I did reach out to Dan Radman, and the only thing that he mentioned was that we may need more funding as we go forward on this. So maybe 100 may not be the end of it, but we'll see how that goes. I guess this.
Yeah, so after we selected this consultant, the subcommittee who's handling this sent me kind of their laundry list of items that wasn't in the proposal, and we sent that to BFJ, and they did say that if we wanted every single item on our list, we may need an additional $15,000, but most of those items we did feel that I could probably cover myself. So if we decide we needed 15 more, it probably wouldn't be till fiscal year 27.
So why didn't we have that before we went out to contract?
Because we're not certain that we want those
Okay.
additional services.
My only message on the
Yeah.
additional funds was just to know, and I don't want to speak for these guys, but to me, the planning and zoning and our regs are probably the most important thing that we do in terms of the way town looks. So if it needs another X, denomination above that 100, I'm here for sure, but please come back. So I don't know, you guys.
But
can
it did
weigh in,
sound like
but-
it's the next budget cycle anyway,
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
gives us time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Planning and Zoning Department to enter into a contract with BFJ Planning in the amount of $100,000. The project entails a comprehensive review and update of the town's zoning regulations.
So moved.
It's unanimous. And before you go, I'm not sure you've been here. I don't know if you all know our, I'm gonna embarrass you a little bit. Sarah was engaged
What?
recently.
Ah,
Yeah, do you
congratulations.
notice she's got
Look
a
at
ring
that.
on?
I'd be flaunting that thing.
It's okay, every once in a while. Congratulations.
Congrats, Sarah.
Look at you. I know, Amy's like, what are you doing? I love it.
Come up
It's good news. That's good news. That's, I'm
great.
not,
You've got a lot of tough questions and following her is no fun.
All right, so before after school programs.
Okay, in the memo, I very quickly see that I made a mistake. It's not FY '26, it's the present year, FY '25. So
Okay.
what basically happened is we had a problem with another program, so we added a program
A different supplier?
supplier. Yes,
we
we
go.
had a problem with the teacher.
Oh,
That
okay.
was going to do the work. So we added them in so we could keep having a program, and that took us over the $10,000 limit. So that's why we're looking for 3,150 for this year presently.
Most of these programs are self-sustaining, right?
They're definitely
Yeah.
self-sustaining, yes.
Okay.
Good.
And just need no issues with the teach yourself,
No, it was a
just being,
program issue on their side. They just
Okay.
couldn't make it. That's all.
that's
Yep.
all, because we vet our instructors and all that kind of stuff, so
Yep.
they're fingerprinted. I just, as a
Okay.
former Board of
Yes,
Education, it's like, we have
it
to
was a
use our words carefully.
minor issue.
Okay.
Conflict and schedule.
Okay. All right. If I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks and Recreation Department to approve an increase to a previously approved purchase order with Sparks Business Academy by $3,150.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Who are we removing?
What vendor didn't we use? Since we use Sparks.
Yeah, who are we not using?
Oh, it was, well, we used them. It just that throughout the year, we used them in the fall and the spring.
Well, just like who are we reducing our purchase order with?
It was, I think it's immersive Snapology. It might be different on the W9, which is why I'm going, but it's that Snapology is the name of the program.
Okay.
Snapology LLC.
Okay.
I'll get the exact name of W9.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Did we?
Yeah,
I feel like I voted.
Yeah.
All right, good. I'm like getting ahead of, I can't ask a question after I vote. All right, Parks Department. Equipment.
Good morning. So on behalf of the New Canaan Parks Department, I am here seeking approval to enter into contracts with Newtown Power Equipment to purchase a Fredan walk-behind blower from Newtown Power Equipment. This blower will be used for blowing heavy debris and leaves. The total for this purchase is $4,004.10, and it is available in the fiscal year 2025 blowers account.
Any questions?
I'm assuming it's a gas blower. not
Yes,
electric.
it is.
They're much more efficient than an electric
Well,
power.
They do the work faster,
Yes.
yeah, but
Yes.
they're,
It's also not a backpack blower. It's a
Time, so they're
Correct.
actually more powerful. I have both.
no, I know.
self-propelled blower.
Well, at least we know the Parks Department doesn't use them at Sunday at 9 a.m. so
Yes.
That's good.
Yes, unlike the country club. All right.
Isn't this one of those 20-year useful life type things?
All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Parks Department to enter into a contract with Newtown Power Equipment in the amount of $4,004.10 for a Fredan walk behind. It's
Second.
It's
Just
unanimous.
on policy, all your guys use ear protection and stuff like that, always, right?
Too.
Okay,
Yes, and
good.
we provide them with either the foam insert plugs or the headphones.
Let's make sure.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and then blanket purchase orders. Oh, my goodness. Do I have to read? all
Yes, and this is where.
Oh, my Lord. Do I have to read all of these? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'll just say as presented in the
Yeah.
agenda. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Now, with that said,
Okay.
some of these I would consider contracts. So I don't know, some of them are for purchasing products. Other ones are like the first All Habitat Services. They send us a proposal. They never required us for a state or a signed contract or anything. It's under state contract, the pricing for All Habitat. All Habitat does our mosquito control. So I don't know exactly how you want to proceed with this.
All right, I need Ann.
You need the PO, so that's one, right?
Mhm.
Say you got a quote.
We have a quote, like for All Habitat, we have a quote. But then if you go down to Putnam Tennis, there is a contract that follows up
Yeah, like.
In
Tom,
November.
200,000.
for next spring.
We do.
Tom Irwin provides our fertilizer and the little bit of pesticides that we use. That is under the CROG purchasing agreement, so that's all been bid out that way.
So that was bid it, so that, okay. I think we gotta separate, I think we should take this out and bring it, because we need to separate out stuff that you bid or was on the state purchasing, so we understand that they were bid. Because I don't think I see in here everything that was bid versus, you have a 200,000, you have a 70,000, you have an 80,000, 160. We need to be able to see that those were effectively either bid or under a state contract, so we understand that. So can we pull this item, bring it back in 2 weeks? Do you need anything on here?
It'd be next week. I don't.
Oh, it's next week. Which
Can we
ones do
put
you
in the
need tomorrow?
request and have the information for you by Friday? you know, to get it on the agenda. And then I don't know if I can pull it together by noon tomorrow.
Okay. But it doesn't need to be in by Friday. It can be in by 8:30 on Monday. We can,
okay.
this time we can have it by, so if we can get it by Friday,
Yes.
you can do it late day Friday and we're totally within posting regulations.
Sounds perfect.
Is that okay?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You know, as I'm
just
sitting
because
back there
I-
listening to the other
yeah.
ones, I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah. No, this one needs to be broken out. Anything 50,000 and up, we need to be able to see that they were bid. Just, they have to be in compliance with the purchasing policy. So 50 and up either has to be, a state contract bid or I have to see who was bid out. And then 25 to 50, have to know that you went out and got quotes, multiple quotes, and then anything under 25. So just if we can break those out.
We'll do it.
Probably put in an Excel sheet in the column.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything that has to be done though?
Yeah, that's what-
between
exactly.
Now and whenever.
Friday, next week.
No, because
Nothing's-
this is all for next fiscal year. So we're fine. Thank you. I'm glad we're here today, though.
Yeah, no, that's good. All right, perfect.
My cupcake party, 80,000.
That I know. That's the self-sustaining now.
Oh, I know
so,
it is.
Yeah,
Select cupcakes.
I know. We have a populace that likes their cupcakes.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Stonework, walls, and cupcake covers in the budget.
Okay. WPCF. Hello, it's
Morning.
nice to see you, Nick.
Hey.
It's been a while.
I told him to come.
I
said,
like to
"Yes,
see
yes,
everybody."
it is. He was worried. He was
Make a
nervous.
point. You want to see a little, but not a lot.
So this first item is pretty cut and dry. We as far as the last discussion, so we went out to bid for our liquid sodium hydroxide for the plant for next year for fiscal 26. Borden and Remington was the low bidder at $1.3622 price per gallon. We estimate the usage of 20,000 gallons per year. And we're looking for a purchase order for the amount of $28,000. The 20,000 gallons at 1.3622 comes out to $27,244. We rounded that up to $28,000. The monies are available. And this, from last year to this year, is an increase of approximately $1,000, $1,044 over last year's bid price and usage.
And I see you have multiple people that gave you bids,
Yes.
so that's
Yeah.
good.
Big
Yeah.
difference in the bids
Yeah,
Yep.
really.
for a commodity, right?
Yep. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with this one, Tucker, because it's a contract, but I want to get the PO on there as well, right? We don't want to. I like seeing you, but not that much. So,
So we write that next time as a 1-year contract with a purchase order?
Yep.
And purchase order?
Yep.
Okay,
yeah, that way we don't have to do this twice,
okay.
Once we approve it, I don't, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is that right? You're looking,
Her head.
okay.
She's nodding her head.
Okay. All right, so any other questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a 1-year contract and enter into a PO with Borden and Remington Corporation in the amount of $1.3622. I'm like, that's a lot of decimal points per cents. As a price per gallon for the supply and delivery of liquid sodium hydroxide 25% to the WPCF in an amount not to exceed $28,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. And then the second.
This next one is for our fiscal 26 purchase orders. I can run through each one. So the first one with Atlantic Coast Polymer, this is actually a sole source product for us. They've been our vendor for quite some time. It's $2.92 per pound. And we estimate the amount of usage at 69,000 last year for fiscal 25. The total was 64,240. This year, we're estimating a slightly larger amount of 69,000. The same thing with the polyaluminum chloride from Holland Company. That's a sole source product, whereby the pack we're buying is at $5.36 a gallon. And we're looking at a total of $54,000 for our budget year. The only item that we see on the list that might be of concern is the S&S Industries at 40,000. So we could theoretically strike that from the request and come back for a quote with S&S for their services through the year. But the rest, environmental monitoring labs for $17,000. They've been our lab for 20 plus years. In fiscal 25, we spent $14,308 year to date. In 24, we spent $15,381. We're asking for a purchase order in the amount of $17,000. The S&S one, again, we can table. The Granger at $20,000 year to date from last year was $17,000. That's for electrical supplies, fuses, relays, controllers, pump starters, etc. They have a plethora of items that we need for the plant. Same thing with the USA Blue Book. That's a purchase order for $25,000. Our year to date for 2025 is $20,785. And then for MICVAC Environmental, that's to clean and dispose the grit and stones from the areas at the plant for $18,000. Our year to date for 2025 was $16,290. And then the last one, the sludge hauling. This is actually we're on our 5th year of a contract with Synagro. It's our 5th and final year. We'll be going out to bid in the coming months, sometime around September. We were talking about, so we would have a number by November budget. So again, this is the price per gallon is 0.1516 price per gallon. The blanket amount requested is $288,000. There is a CPI built into the contract. We're waiting for that number from Synagro, and we might need to make an adjustment later on in the year. But our blanket is request is $288,000.
It isn't, Tyre, the escalator isn't negotiated in the contract?
It's a CPI or.
Oh, okay. So you
So-
have to take the consumer price index and
tied to
that's
that.
it?
Yeah, correct.
There's a formula that they use. I could get it for you, but I
Okay.
don't know. it
All
on-
right.
off
So
the
we
top of my
asked them
head.
for it. They said that they'd be giving it to us by September.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we're kind of where we have to
Okay.
say, okay, the number that we have right now is 1.4516. Then we'll come back for an adjustment if we need it.
Okay.
Excuse me, based upon the CPI. We had to do the exact same thing last year, I
Yes.
believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
because at the time of contract for us to continue for hauling out the sludge as of July 1, we just don't
And
have
we
that
also pay
information.
a highway use fee and a highway use fee and
The disposal fee.
no.
So they have a highway use fee, which
Fuel
is
sur-
actually,
fuel
fuel
surcharge.
search, that's correct. They have a highway use fee that actually
Oh,
is
okay.
deemed from the state. It's
Okay.
a new fee for anyone that's hauling materials. And then a fuel surcharge associated with it, if it's applicable, based upon at the contract time, fuel costs at that time versus now. So there's a couple of factors in there. Last year, I think we came back in for a small adjustment.
Yeah.
Sometime in April-ish, I think. But so again, it'll be a 1.1 x present 0.1516. The total totals out to 277,114. We've rounded that to 288 in anticipation of some additional monies being needed for the CPI increase.
Oh,
and the
so,
monies-
okay, so this is guessing.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So and the monies are available for each one of these items. The monies are available in our
That's
fiscal
gonna have a big
26.
problem. Okay.
Is a 5-year contract the industry norm? Is that how that works? Or
Seems long.
This, we've been doing 5 for about, I think this is our 3rd set of 5s, but we are looking at reducing that down. Each one of our contracts over the years we've started to reduce it down to 3 or 2,
Mhm.
depending. It's not an industry standard by any stretch of the imagination, but but it had been policy or procedure for at least the past 10 years or more, 15 years to go 5-year contracts. So this is the 3rd set that I know of.
It's kind of hard to know which way to go.
I know
You know,
you're kind of,
Lauren.
I mean, right now, like, I don't want to get into, I wouldn't want to be renegotiating this now with, transportation with gas prices going to be
Right.
going through the roof.
Well, Or they, or will they? We don't know. It could go
I'm
either way.
thinking what's going on globally could be,
But
you
if the economy
Yeah,
goes
but you're
down-
right,
if
I'm
the
not an
economy
expert.
depresses,
Yep.
you don't know.
Yep.
You know, so.
I just had a question about the sole source providers, Atlantic Coast, Palmer and Holland. I mean, are these just super specific items that, I mean, I don't know enough
Plant
about.
that we use for the plant that helps flocculate the sludge, helps it
Yep.
settle out in the tanks.
Yep.
But when we first started, 25 years ago, we tried all different brands,
Okay,
and this is the one that works. the
okay,
best.
so this is something that we just,
Yes.
Tried and true.
And the polyaluminum chloride, that's the only company out there that makes it at
really,
this point in time. Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Have you seen I mean, obviously it's an odd question, but like this is a area where are we experiencing more growth here based on more building in town or, what, if you graph this over the past, say, 20 years, what does that look like? Is it just a steady
For some
rise?
reason,
or-
there's always an increase in sludge production
Yeah.
every year.
We've been having this, that's why it's
Yes,
why it's laughing,
all
because
the
we've been
time.
having this discussion about the fact that we're producing more sludge each year. And I said, how can we be producing more sludge? So I went to the census data. I asked Jen also
Yeah.
at the time for census data. So, we're not getting any larger. Why?
Yeah,
You know,
why?
But, each year we seem to be producing just a little bit more sludge each year. So quite possibly inside the sewer district, yes, we're seeing more people and more growth.
The houses are getting bigger, more bedrooms.
I'd like to contribute to the fact that we are a restaurant destination and everybody's just coming into town.
Quite possibly.
Shopping more,
Right.
eating
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, if everyone
Okay.
comes in, that's just strictly straight in the district at that point in time. But we've had that discussion. I said, Nick, how can we, if the population is staying at 20,000 people, how can we be, how can our sludge be increasing each year?
Well, but think about the
20,000 sounds in the back.
transition to, I mean, besides the bigger houses, people, I always remember a developer in town saying it's like a 20-year cycle. People live out of town. And those are septic systems. And then in the last 10 years, more people have been moving into town.
Right.
So like, and there's been more density in town, so,
And
and that's on the,
people using it pay for it.
Yeah.
Self-supporting. So,
we just approved the new
Yep,
rates. So,
so
okay. You pay for it either way.
That's it.
but the users pay for it. On
yeah.
this one, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, either way.
directly.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into the following: Atlantic Coast Polymer, $69,000, Holland Company, $54,000, Environmental Monitoring Lab, $17,000, Granger Industrial, $20,000, USA Blue Book, $25,000, McBack Environmental, $18,000, Synagro Northeast, $288,000.
So to be clear,
We're taking out
S&S.
S&S Industries.
And what we'll do is we'll
Yeah.
go back and get a quote from S&S and from One Vac and a couple of other vendors. S&S has been very, very responsive for us. And typically we have S&S contracted with the wastewater plant and highway contracts with One Vac. So if we
Right.
need to have two, we have.
Yeah, I mean, we do this every year on my street. Like we've gone back with S&S and another company, so.
So we like to have two just in
Yep.
case one's not available or we need extra work. So we have basically that, like I said, the wastewater plant contracts with one, highway contracts with the other, and then we have the capability of utilizing both.
Got it.
But we'll go back and get the numbers for that since it's above the 25,000.
All right, I'll second the motion.
Well, I need it first.
Oh, I'll make it first.
I now second.
There you go. It's unanimous. Okay,
Just keep our pattern here.
all right.
Thank you.
Bill Ostman. Oh, no, Tiger, Bill's on vacation.
He's on a flight right now. Yeah. So this next is an increase to an existing purchase order 250344 for fiscal year 25 for Garamella for our building HVAC repairs in a number not to exceed $15,000. The original PO for 25 was $40,000. We've spent $39,899, I believe, at present. And last year at this time, we had $82,580 for repairs. So we're well under what the marker was for last year. And a couple of these items were, one was in the town clerk's office. We had some work. We got some other work in some other areas. So monies are available. We'd like to increase this PO for the 15,000 and then close out the year with Garamella. We don't anticipate using the entire thing, but I didn't want to have to come back one more time.
Any questions?
Nope, seems reasonable.
Okay.
Thank
So does that 4,200 that I just signed, that I'm just signing to move the stuff from the temporary police, the splitters?
That's under the police department. Yeah, that's.
Oh, so even, it's this vendor, but it's their contract, their,
different
their
contract.
budget.
Their budget.
Okay,
Yeah,
same
this is-
vendor,
This
different
is
budget.
strictly the buildings
Okay.
contract in our operating side,
Okay,
non-capital.
okay, so that 4,200, would that have come out of the PD
PD,
budget?
yeah.
New PD budget?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right,
Part of the move.
all right, perfect. All right, so if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to increase a previously approved blanket purchase order with MA Garamella in the amount not to exceed $15,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Nice second.
All right,
So this next is both a contract approval and a PO for next year. So this is, we went out to bid for our cleaning services. Excuse me, for all the town buildings. We received 2 bids at the time. We did go out and verify that structure again with a separate company to see whether or not the low bidder was a good bid. And actually we found that it was, based upon that 3rd bid coming in. So what we're looking to do is we're looking for an overall contract of $933,908.96. That's broken down for $889,437.10 for the actual total cleaning, and a contingency of 5% for $44,471.86 makes up the $933,908.96. The unfortunate portion of that is that we did not have enough money in our budget to take in account the new police department. They were looking at the old one, so when they came back in again, there's an adjustment to that. So there's an adjustment overall of $196,289.98 for the 3 years. That breaks down to $186,942.84 for the 3 years, plus a contingency of $9,347.14. The fiscal 26 increase is solely $64,108.93, and that'll be contingent on the Board of Finance transfer approval. But what we'd like to do is get the contract approved contingent upon that, so we can get the contract approved for the lower amount, get them here. You say yes to the larger amount, we go to the Board of Finance, they say yes, and then we can increase the PO at that time. Hopefully that was
so wait, so it's 196,289 a year for each of 3 years? So
289.98
for the total of the 3 years, 64 is 1 year. So why are we, because we can't, okay.
You're approving the overall contract for the 3 years, and then we break
But
it
in
down
the,
by
in the
year.
language of the contract, it'll say, we usually only approve the single year expenditure. Is this normal that we do the full?
There's a non-appropriation
Yeah,
clause.
of
We normally come in
course.
for the entire contract amount, and then every year
Okay.
come in for
All
the
right,
year itself.
okay.
It is a little,
So we typically do 3-year contracts.
this is yeah, we actually had a 5-year contract prior. We went down to a 3-year contract in this case.
Okay.
You know, this is one of the ones where I told you we made an adjustment. We had a 5-year cleaning contract prior. This time we're down to a 3-year contract, 'cause it's a long way to carry for 5 years.
Sure.
So we typically ask you for the overall contract. There's a non-appropriation clause in there that says that in fiscal 27, if there's no money, there's no contract. And then we'll come back in fiscal 27 for approval of the fiscal 27 purchase order.
Okay, and what we put forth in the current budget for 2026 was reflective of the old police station and the new police station, which is why we're looking for.
That's correct. That's why we're a little light on that number, is when we had to tell them exactly what it would look like, you know, but the finishes are different. There's a lot of different things in that new police department that were not in the old police department,
Like-
you know. Well, just rooms alone. Yeah, just that. And then, like I said, the finishes in most of the areas, things of that nature.
And
So
what's the difference between seasonal cleaning and annual cleaning?
we have some seasonal buildings that are done, so like in the parks, things like that. So there's certain places like Mead Park. It's a
Got it.
seasonal building, right?
Okay.
We close it back up again because we take we close off the water. So there are certain areas where they
No,
just come in.
That's fine. It wasn't seasonal within every building. And in the cleaning, is that also do like windows and stuff like that? Is that part of it?
Windows would be separate. Like here, we had a contract just to come and do the windows themselves. The majority of the cleaning is just the floors, dusting, what have you, cleaning the bathroom specifically, things of that nature.
But,
Do you know how many square feet of buildings we do?
oh,
I mean, no, I'm gonna say, because it's a big number, but it's a lot of buildings, you know, and it's a lot of
I can
physical
get you that.
labor.
Yeah. I
I'm
can
just,
get
you know,
that
I just need
number.
to put it in perspective.
But to see the fact that, you know, it's a 7-figure number now that we're looking at to clean our buildings. I mean, this is a pretty amazing.
Over
over
3
3
years,
years, yeah.
but as, if you look at it, I mean, it's a
Of
lot,
course,
right?
yeah.
But it's a lot of physical work and it's, you know, we want to make sure we have, you know, we're
At
good
least,
employers.
there's at least
right?
19 different buildings.
Yeah, but in terms of, another way to look at Steve is in terms of our entire budget. What's the number? 358,000? Is that the one I would look in 2026?
26, that's correct.
Yeah, on an entire budget of 180
Of course. yeah.
million. So
Yeah.
it's,
Well, and you have to take care of what you have. And obviously we need to present it to the public in a way that every time you walk into this building, it looks great, you know, and, I think, you know, overall, the cleaning services that we have done a great job. And, you know, my question was, do we have a liaison like on each building? Like does town hall have the go-to person and then the PD has the go-to person? So they liaise with the cleaning service, or how does that work?
Anna controls
she
all
does
of it-
all.
all of it. And then the building operator will speak to Anna
Oh,
about
okay.
certain
Can't get
things.
anybody
Yeah.
better than that. All
Right. So that's, you know, that instead of having everyone try to consolidate the direction. And then, so direction comes from the building operator, say John for Waveney or what have you, or other like John DeFederico for the police department. Then they speak to Anna and then we speak to the cleaning company about things that might need to be changed or done differently. If there's a
is this our
complaint.
current cleaning department, P&M? Same company?
We do
This,
use them.
we split the contract. So we were using them and then another vendor, and now we're just going solely with one vendor, P&M.
And I think I
in the
spoke
past.
to Bill, he said they're very pleased with the attentiveness. And I think also they said a lot of consistency in staffing for this vendor.
That is a difficult thing, but we like to have the people know our buildings and know what to do. So yeah, the consistency in employment is very, very important.
Yeah, and the contingency is built in because there's, you know, one-off issues that we have to.
There might be times for additional cleaning, certain times when we need, you know,
Someone decides to wreak havoc with one of the outdoor porta potties.
so,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
not the
outdoor
porta potties, but the
bathrooms,
full-
yeah. Things of that nature,
Booze.
which do happen,
Sure.
unfortunately, you know, our outdoor bathrooms are getting hit pretty hard
Yeah.
of late, so.
Be nice to have a public information campaign, like it's hurting your mom and dad's taxes, you know, wreaking havoc.
The 90-10 rule.
I know.
90% of people are fabulous, you know,
Yeah.
so.
I'm gonna do the same thing, Tucker, on this one. I don't wanna just do the contract. I'm gonna do the PO as well.
That's fine. Yeah,
Um,
we'll just write that in next time as
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
It was, you know, we felt it was, yeah, it's one and the same, but yeah, we'll write that into the language. So it'll be a 3-year agreement and a purchase order for this year.
Yeah.
And then next year won't matter because it'll just be
Correct.
the purchase order
Right.
for the year.
And just a side note on this contract, it is probably going to be the pilot program for our contracts module. We're
Oh,
going to try this
Oh,
contract
great.
over a 3-year in putting it through the contracts module. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Bill is.
Your life is amazing.
I'm excited about a contracts module.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, I'm a bean counter. Yeah.
There you go.
No more Excel spreadsheets. It'll be in a system.
yeah. Okay, so the purchase order will be for the 358, 675, 58.
Right, contingent upon funding from
Right.
the Board of Finance of 64-108-93. That's correct.
Yep, that'll be in the second approval, I guess, because that's. Okay, well, I guess I can do that both times, I guess. Wait, I forgot. Maybe I do it at 294. I'll do that 294, 566, and then this 64 is the second one. Is that right? As I'm looking at the breakout?
Yep.
I'll do the 294 in the first one. 294, 566.
That's correct.
65, and then the second approval will be for the 64. Okay. And then I don't do the 358. Okay. You guys got it? So it's in this spreadsheet. This second item is the 64. That's the second item on this.
Got it.
So the 294 is the original request. So we'll approve that. And then the second item is the additional that they have to go to the Board of Finance for.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Hopefully I don't screw this up. Approval of 2 requests from the Department of Public Works for town building cleaning services as follows. First, could I get an approval to enter into a 3-year contract with P&M Partners LLC in the amount of
Should be the 1 million.
930, 890. Oh, I see. Never mind. No, I'm going to do it in 2 sections.
Okay.
899, 437.10 plus a contingency of $44,471.86 for a total cost of $933,908.96 and a 1-year purchase order approval in the amount of $294,566.65, which includes a 5% contingency of $14,026.98.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. And then could I get a secondary approval of a contract increase for the police department cleaning services for a 3-year contract in the amount of $186,942.84 plus a contingency of $9,347.14 for a total cost of $196,289.98. This would include a FY 26 increase of $64,108.93, which includes a $3,052.81 contingency. And this approval is contingent on a Board of Finance transfer approval.
So moved.
Second.
It's
It's transfers from where?
Gonna be contingency.
It's likely
have to
going to
be
be for
contingency.
contingency.
Contingency, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can't say where we're going to be at
that's fine.
present.
All right.
That's perfect.
Waveney
Thank
Park Trails.
I think so, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Sam.
Thanks, Ann. So this next one, we went out to bid for this, as I mentioned, we were gonna do another set of trails once the monies from fiscal 26 came into play. We went out to bid. This is for at Waveney from the main trail from the South Avenue
All
entrance.
right, you know what? I'm really sorry. Did I ask for a PO on the second one? Did I add the PO language? Sorry, can we
That's
just
okay. We'll go
really
back.
quickly,
Yeah,
I want to
no,
go
you're
back.
right. Put it-
Sorry, I forgot to add the PO language. So for both both bulleted points can, we ask to add into, enter into a PO for the 294,566.65 on the first bulletin point. And contingent on approval from the Board of Finance, can I ask for a PO in the amount of $64,108.93? Can I get a motion to approve
So
those
moved.
POs?
Second.
Okay, it's unanimous. Sorry about that, Tiger.
No, I'm glad you got it.
Yeah.
Save it in time.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, we went out to bid for this second portion of trail work this year. This is on the main trail from as you enter into Waveney Park along South Avenue, from the South Avenue entrance, heading southward to, in essence, the Merritt Parkway entrance, so the exit 37 entrance, as it
Oh, the whole way
turns the
down.
corner. And then at that point in time, the Conservancy is looking at a larger project for that portion of trail. So we went out to bid. We directly solicited from 8 separate contractors. We got 4 bids back. Peter Lonnie Incorporated was the low bid at $40,775. Excuse me. I added a 15% contingency of $6,000 for a total of $46,775. The funds are available in the Waveney Trails capital account for fiscal 25 and 26. And I'm asking for contract approval for that amount.
So one quick question.
Sure.
Why do we need 15%? It's an existing trail. It's not changing any.
I don't know if there might be some other things that we encounter when we're there, additional drainage work, things of that nature as we're going. I had to put in a couple of drainage crossings on the original contract.
Mhm.
So I hit the contingency.
So you're
for
going to add piping?
some
like a
piping to
culvert
try
or
to,
something?
just a crossing to, because if we're ponding water on one side to get water off to the other side.
Okay.
So that's all. It's just if the excuse me, it's a 1,600 foot stretch. I go 1,605, I got the extra 5 feet. So it's kind of trying to see where we're going to end. We estimated at 1,600. That's why. I don't anticipate utilizing it at all of it. I hopefully don't have to use any of it.
As you enter that trail, there's from Waveney's
Yeah.
driveway, there's been a ponding issue on the
Yep.
left side
Yep.
forever. And
Okay.
hopefully that'll eliminate that.
Right, I have a drainage crossing in the plans to go across that. So we have 3 separate ones planned, but if there is another one that we see as we're going, that is another problematic area, or again, if we determine that, we should extend it just a little bit further by 15 feet, I won't have any way or means to do that. That's all. We typically are only spending about 2 to 3% overall max when I've been looking back from 2021
Mhm.
on an average.
Right.
Actually, probably even less than that. by
That's
now.
why I like 10% or 5%.
Oh, 2 to 3%
contingencies.
contingency.
That's why I like 10% or 5%.
I'm not here to haggle. 4,000 is
Yeah.
fine. So if you want to go to 40,775 plus 4,000.
Yeah, I actually like that better. I just,
Fine.
we're not seeing that, and I don't really like to have contracts out, contingency sitting out there. I mean, if it's a big deal, then it should come back and we should really tighten up our bits. So
There's a little stretch from the South Avenue entrance off of Conrad into that trail too. There's a little
spur.
but that, I don't know if that is going to be.
It wasn't included in it, but we likely might, I'll see the condition of that. The previous one, we did not go up the spurs. But I'll see the condition of it at the time.
And this, you're not going to start this work prior to the 4th of July.
No, absolutely not. This one will be as we move forward, probably September.
Yeah.
I'd like to have it done before the FCX, so we don't have any problem. So it's likely, I know Peter Lonnie, he's right now he's at the up on Park Street in front of the Congregational Church. He's got to finish a little bit at Millport, go to Conrad, and then at that point in time, he's got to go to the Nature Center to pond dredging, and then he'll do this work. So it's probably be September. Pond dredging I can only do in August and September, so it'll be after that. So
I would like, not to say, I feel like we're always signing off on Waveney Trail work. And like everybody uses Waveney, it's great. I'm just, I would like to see how much we spent on the Waveney Trail work over time. And I know it's hard to say how long these last because you could have a wicked storm and it knocks stuff out.
Yeah.
But I would like, if you have a chance, just like, all right,
I just don't have it right in front.
yeah,
of me.
no,
I
so
have it.
just like we have invested this much
Yeah.
in Waveney and, just so we know, like, because it's really hard to say if we spend this money, if that trail is going to stay in place, because you could get just a horrendous storm and wipe it out,
Yeah.
right? So I just think it's interesting and we would know how much, because Waveney is a gem, but it does take money.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people helping to support it, but I just think, we're always signing off on a little bit Waveney Trail, so
Well, as someone-
at your convenience.
There's never a moment that those trails aren't being used. Though. It is amazing.
Yeah.
You can go in there.
agreed.
You can go in there. It could be 5 below 0 in January, and you're going to see people walking dogs, running around there. It's amazing.
We get a lot of type A's. That in South Avenue. South Avenue is like, a parking lot with people. So
Yeah.
But to your point, Amy, I mean, are you thinking when you compare it to say Irwin, where we did flexi pave, and you
Mhm.
compare it over say 30 years, it'd be interesting to see, and
whatever.
I
the
mean,
smoothest.
obviously flexi paving those paths would be astronomically expensive,
Yep.
but if you bid it off as you went, now who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe,
yeah.
It does seem like we're always
Well, it's funny.
spending
I
some
have an
money.
oil and stone driveway, and it's like every 2 years I have to
Yeah.
have more stone brought
Right.
in. I mean, just because of runoff.
It just
and
does.
It just runs off. So
Mhm.
it's a good thought. Like, is it smart over time to revisit how we're doing those trails?
Yeah.
I was thinking we would add brick sidewalks.
No bricks.
Thanks,
Okay.
Charlie.
All right,
I'll get
so
to
I'm
that.
gonna reduce that to a 10% contingency. And approval. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into a contract with Peter Lonnie in the amount of $40,775 plus a contingency of $4,000 for a total project cost of $44,775. Oh, and we're adding in that language a PO.
That's fine.
Like seeing you, Tiger, but
Yeah.
yeah, so a contract and a PO. The project entails the reconstruction of an existing trail at Waveney Park.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Here we go
This is
again.
just a
This is
purchase
why we
order.
didn't have a PO. So we get to see it again.
Right, so this is well, I had the PO for 25. This is
Right.
the PO for 26.
Yep.
So, because we did the contract for the 3 years, did the PO for 25, got to come back for PO of 26.
Yep.
So this is for fiscal 26 fees of $22,754. Added a contingency of 5% for 1,100. That's if we add an item, what have you, for a total of 23,854. The funds are available in the DPW 26 operating accounts. And I'm asking them to have this be done. So the last one you did was basically June, right? So it was
Right.
basically 1 month.
It was the
So
stub
this one, I'm
period.
going to say it's going to go from July to July. So then we won't have to come back again until July of 26 for fiscal 27. So these numbers are reflective of the entire fiscal year.
And they've already started installing.
Yeah, I mean, we talked
started-
about
right.
this program at length and
Right.
what a great asset it's going to be. So I'm
Yep.
on board.
Any other questions? If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to create a PO in the with Samsara in the amount of $22,754 plus a contingency of $1,100 for a total project cost of $23,854 for geolocation services on vehicles and rolling stock town equipment.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, United Concrete.
Right, this last item is just a fiscal 25 blanket order, purchase order increase for United. The current request is $8,550. The previously approved amount was $5,520. So the total to date for 25 puts us at $14,070, which puts us over the $10,000 mark, which is why we're here. And then I kind of gave you a listing of where we were in previous years. 24 was only $3,700, but 23 and 22 were approximately $40,000 and $35,000. So we're right in the middle of that. And this is for drainage work that the highway department will be doing in the next couple of weeks in anticipation of our paving moving forward. And I attached the quote from United for you as well.
Are those catch basins, those concrete, when they're preformed and they're just dropped in?
It's precast. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
precast
It's like a
structure.
bridle path. It looks like there's a new one put in.
Yeah, so the tops tend to take a beating.
Sure.
So every 10 to 20 years, we look to replace the tops themselves. We pull the top off, take a look at the basin, fix the basin if we need to, or replace the basin itself.
Mhm.
But the tops themselves usually take a good beating, and the grates start to rust out. So we tend to replace those every 10 to 20 years. Every time we take a look on if we're overlaying the road or we're paving the road, that's when we take a look at the entire road, the entire drainage structure across.
We must have so many of these through town.
About 2,500 in town.
A lot of roads.
Any other questions? If not, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works for an increase to a previously approved blanket purchase order with United Concrete in the amount of $8,550.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Terry,
Thank
can
you.
I ask you one question? Elevator update?
So the elevator has, the shop drawings were released as far as going into production.
Mhm.
There's some minor tweaks that need to be done on the shops themselves that each of the vendors are working through. I'm actually quite happy because there's a series of emails every day between Custom Cabs, Champion Elevator, Alden Bailey, and our KSQ, our architect, our MKL. So that's moving forward, but they've released production, so we'll get some items to come forward. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
Can't just ask
But thank
anyone.
you.
No, because it's not posted. for them.
I forget.
Oh, Kyle.
Sorry, really, absolutely.
Really?
Unless we approve it in session to add it as a conversation item.
Okay, so I meant to add that earlier.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
great. I'm
Okay.
just,
Really?
yes, absolutely.
So we can't ask any about ongoing
Non-posted,
projects.
non-posted items unless we agree at the beginning to add it to a conversation item for the public.
Okay, so can we, and in future
Yes.
ones, can we have something about a line item to just get an update on
Like an update.
ongoing
Sure.
projects from the Department of Public
Sure.
Works, and it can be any project.
Sure.
That's good.
Okay,
Sure.
so, all right.
Yes.
Wait, I guess I wasn't supposed to.
He's like, I don't like that.
I guess
idea.
officially, no, but it was more like
Yes.
just, you know.
I was
a li-
talking about status, like
Yeah.
we can't talk about things that aren't on the agenda unless we vote to add them to the agenda. So you can't just like, if we're talking about something and then you say, I want to ask about something else, you can't do that because it needs to be posted for the public. This is a regularly scheduled meeting, so we could vote to add something into the discussion item, but we can't just do it off the cuff.
But we could have a
Yes.
line item that
Correct.
says, a discussion with Department of Public Works on ongoing projects.
Sure. we
Okay,
can
so in the future,
absolutely do it.
in the future, we'll do that.
I'm happy to add
Sorry.
that.
That's good.
Okay.
Because I want to ask.
You're not happy about that, but
I know.
but you'll know where we are.
Sitting here, it happens all the time. So
Yes,
I have no problem.
yes,
I have no
yes.
problem asking. the
I'm a
question.
big, like, we follow protocol and that's how that works. So the public needs to know what we're going to
Regardless,
talk.
so whatever.
Because
you'd
you
like
might
to
have
do.
somebody, if they see that on the agenda, want to participate.
That's correct.
So they need to be notified that they're able to participate in that conversation. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Cheryl,
Okay.
sorry, I
That's
noticed this
okay.
at the end again. Tucker? Sorry. Yeah, Tucker, we're moving it up from now on. I did it last week. I didn't notice it this week.
I am here to present Kyle Fisher. He has worked for the Highway Department as an equipment operator too since 2019. He was the only internal candidate who applied for the internal posting for sewer operator. Kyle's a hard worker, dedicated, and team player. Lou is very sad to lose him in the Highway Department, but Nick is excited to have him join the team. So he will be joining the wastewater treatment plant as a sewer operator.
Any questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Human Resources Department to transfer Kyle Fisher from equipment operator to sewer operator.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you. All right, and then you have in front of you two appointments. They're both fulfilling the unexpired terms of commissioners who unfortunately Keith Ritchie passed away. And then in the case of the Conservation Commission, Robin Bates Mason took the executive director position for the land trust. So she thought she needed to resign her chairmanship of the Conservation Commission. So the first item is to appoint Jeff Platt for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2025. I think you both received the CV for Jeff. Any questions?
No, I've known Jeff for a long time. He and Lisa have raised their kids in New Canaan, and he's just a great guy. And it's nice to see him step up. And he's a very, very easy guy to work with. So he'll be a great addition.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
great.
good. So if I could get a motion to approve Jeff Platt for a 3-year term ending December 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll probably be asking to reappoint him soon. Both of these are this year.
Sure.
And then if I could get Tom Cronin, you also saw his CV or his summary of his, I've known Tom, I served on the Board of Education with Tom, and he is he's also executive or chairman of the land trust. He also does some land trust up in Vermont. I mean, he's a committed land and preservation person. So I think it's a good fit. He was,
background.
yeah, and he was actually recommended by the commission
Mhm.
as someone that they wanted. And I was happy to hear that he was willing to take this on. So,
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he's been here pretty much his whole life. I mean, he's a New Canaan
Yeah.
High School grad. He's a K through 12 public school guy. He's been around forever. So he knows New Canaan, loves New Canaan. So he's done so much. And here's another thing he's doing. So thank you, Tom.
all right. So if I could get a motion to approve Tom Cronin for a 2-year term ending December 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. All right, and then you have on your tablets the contracts under 10,000. If you have any questions. And Not, if
No.
I could get a motion, oh wait, no, you just have to review them, so
Mhm.
never mind.
Mhm.
And then you have the legal fees on your tablets as well. Any questions? We're getting close to the end of the year.
No surprises.
One more month. Let's hope, we've got some money left in there. It'd be nice to
Yep.
come in under budget on that. If I could get a motion to approve the legal fees,
So moved.
Second.
it's unanimous. So selectmen's comments. My only comment was another great graduation. Congratulations to the class of 2025. Graduated yesterday. We got it in under the rain. No, lucky day. And that's it for me.
Yeah, I read the New Canaanite this morning and your comments were amazing. I mean, it was inspiring to see what you told the graduates. I thought it was great about, serving your community and public service in the future. So very well done. Very well done. That's it.
All right. If not, if I could get a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
it's unanimous.